Order. The Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Would you like to sit down? Good evening. Mr. Mayor. I say welcome everybody and good evening. This is a very special meeting this evening as we meet to consider appointing North Warwickshire Borough Council's first ever honorary alderman. The council agreed to confer these titles in March 2020, just as a pandemic was starting to affect day-to-day life, and we had to wait a while until we could have this special council meeting. A particular welcome, therefore, to our guests this evening, including those here to accept the title of alderman, and also the High Sheriff of Warwickshire, both in the room and watching online for those who were unable to make the trip to North Warwickshire this evening. Before we get to this, we need to attend to some of the usual items of business. Evacuation procedure. There is a location plan of the exits and the assembly points situated on the doors of the room. Please familiarise yourselves with it. On discovering a fire, please carry out the following: sound the alarm, attack the fire if possible and safe to do so using the appliance provided. On hearing the evacuation signal, please carry out the following: exit the building by your nearest safest exit, which is there and the one you came in. All visitors report to assembly point G. All staff report to their designated assembly point on Woolpack Way car park. Do not leave the assembly point for any reason until told to do so by the incident controller or the fire brigade officer. Okay. So I'll go on to item number 2, apologies for absence, members away on official council business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A number of members are unable to attend this evening for a variety of reasons, but they have specifically asked me to pass on their best wishes to our guests this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Maxey.
Mr. Mayor, who are they?
Sorry, apologies.
We'll detail those in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Item number 3, we've got declarations of personal credential interest. I have none. Item 4. To consider conferring the title of honorary alderman and accordingly on 6 former members of North Warwickshire Borough Council. The motion, therefore, is that pursuant to section 249 of the Local Government Act 1972, the Borough Council of North Warwickshire has today determined to admit Les Forsyth, Peggy Hall, Reg Place, Joan Lee, Ray Sweet, and the late Anne Lewis as honorary aldermen of the Borough of North Warwickshire in recognition of the eminent service they have rendered to the people of North Warwickshire through the performances of their duties as members of the Borough Council. So I'll move on to item number 5. I'd like to call upon Councillor Wright to propose a motion. I believe Councillor Gosling is the second motion. Is that correct?
Councillor Phillips, I think.
Councillor Phillips. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to propose the motion that we confer the title of honorary alderman and honorary alderwoman accordingly on the following former members of North Warwickshire Borough Council, with the aforementioned, as the Mayor has said. It's so nice to see some of the recipients here with us. Perfectly understandable that the others are not here this evening. Clearly, from the length of service and the date of the election or first becoming a member, it's some years. I will be unable, I'm afraid, to talk about with any great passion or about most, because I unfortunately am a little younger and I don't know you. I do, however, know Ray, served alongside Ray at the county council for some times. Ray Sweet, this is, and also on the borough council. Ray, I think we, although we were on opposite sides of the bench, I think we always got on well. I always looked to you for your expertise in planning, as did a lot of other members, I think. So it's really nice to see you back. You are the longest serving member, I believe, because you first accepted office in May 1974. Yes, a considerable long time and great service. And the other person I know even better than Ray is, of course, Joan Lee, who we served together both on the county council and indeed in these chambers. Joan, you were an enigma, I guess. Just fantastic. I always look forward to you making speeches in the chamber. It was most entertaining, full of facts, and then quite often much more entertaining when you drifted off the subject and regaled your experiences of rock climbing, etc. So it was fantastic, Joan. So that being said, congratulations to all the recipients, and I will leave some other talking, no doubt, to members that have been a little longer than I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the years these councillors served the borough, the journey through the good times and bad, seeing the nature of the jobs, industry and prosperity, the lives of those who live within it all change. All the people nominated here tonight played a huge part in that journey and should be immensely proud of the achievements. I'm sure their journeys were not always easy. Over the years, they will have had to make sacrifices, family time, holidays, seemingly endless planning minutes. We are indeed indebted to each of them for the long committed effort in their passion and their service they made to our borough and its residents. I am humbled to have been given the opportunity to second the motion, and I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank them all for what they did. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phillips. Now I would like to open the meeting up to any councillor who wishes to say a few words in respect of our guest this evening. Councillor Hayfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are only a few of us now that actually remember these people, yes, and the contribution they made. I guess for a lot of you, they're just names on boards, which is where we'll all end up, I suppose. These sort of a name on a board at some point. My key task was to talk specifically about Reg Place, but I wanted to mention the others as well, because I knew you all. Well, I've worked with you all happily, I think, as well. Reg was, and I'm sorry he's not here, but I understand. It's not, the years have not been easy for him recently. He was leader for 24 years, which made him one of the longest serving leaders in the country. And during those years, he kind of defined North Warwickshire. And he led a very able team of councillors, which include Les and Ray and Lewis and others, Pete Lewis, and Hayden. And it was a very difficult time because it was this sort of the post-mine closures. And North Warwickshire was struggling a bit because it had been heavily dependent on coal mining. And now that wasn't there. And there was a challenge for Reg as leader and for his administration as to how to try and build up North Warwickshire again. And I'm sure Reg would be here. He could have regaled you for a long time about what they all were. And there was a lot of that was the strength of the team that he had working with him. But it was also Reg himself. I've heard, I can say this now, he's not here. I've heard that he started life as a pastry chef. Now, he's not here. I've got it wrong. But then he went on to Sterling Metals, I believe, and involved with trade unionism, and like a lot of Labour councillors, sort of drifted into local government from trade unionism. And he joined this authority in 1977, and within 2 years he was leader. And he was passionate about local government. The LGA, which we don't hear a great deal of these days, and particularly the West Midlands LGA, which we hear even less about, and he's abolished. But he was chairman of that for many years. And he carried the name of North Warwickshire into the higher echelons of the local government association and into Europe. And I forget the acronym for the European ones. One of you guys will remember, I'm sure. But he was instrumental in the Coalfields community campaigns and bringing a lot of money into North Warwickshire as a consequence of that. And that made a big difference.
Colin, it was Richard.
Richard, yeah, okay.
Richard. Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, I'm going to get corrected on a lot of this, I know.
It's all right.
It's not in it.
Still chance next.
He also, I remember, became e-champion, which I thought was quite unlikely, but he took to the internet and the computer age far more quickly and readily than most of us did. He was a noted golfer with our colleague Les Smith, big golfers. Became, was it president or something of the Pearly Chase Golf? And yeah, I'm sure Les will correct me on that. But for a time, North Warwickshire was one of the golfing centres of the country. The Ryder Cup was played 3 times at the Belfry, which is a record for any one location. I'm not saying Reg was personally responsible for the Ryder Cup, but it created an environment of it. And of course, Joan, I've known Joan as a colleague for a long time, and a loyal and steadfast colleague. Some people believe in the best speeches are short ones, so I'm going to contradict myself on this. Some people are not quite so convinced that the best speeches are the shortest ones, but they were always entertaining. And actually, I found at times when I was trying to sort of think what the response was going to be to the opposition budget, if Joan stood up, I got 5 minutes to tell, because the opposition would try and tease her about speaking, and Joan was having none of it. She'd keep going. And I was really handy. Sorry, Joan, but Joan's great strength was planning. Planning here at the here in the front. She was chairman of planning for a while. She was chairman of planning at the county council for a while, and she involved herself with regional planning as well, and became very knowledgeable about it. Ray, well, I'm calling him Ray. I think in Battersea they called him Uncle Ray. he was, joined Meriden, not Meriden, it was other one, Atherstone RDC for a year or two. 72. Another miner. And if ever there was anyone particularly dedicated to their ward, it was Ray. And he always used to tell me that, well, the Conservatives vote for me. And they probably did. Less I remember from leisure and the leisure centres and spreading leisure out into the communities and things. Again, that was a major achievement. And that was, again, has left a legacy. Peggy was housing. I was also a bit scared of Peggy. Particularly in the early years. Scared of Peggy. But Borough Care was her lasting achievement. And hundreds of North Warwickshire residents lived longer lives because of Borough Care. And again, that was hers. And And there was, she was difficult to get to know because she was quite quiet. So if you're in the opposition, she was quite quiet. But she was a lovely lady. And when you did get to know her, there was a genuine warmth to her. She was the mayor when I first got elected. She was just retiring. As I heard her retiring speech as mayor. But again, hugely respected within her community for the work that she did for Wood End and for Hurley and that area. So really, and I'm sure other people are going to say this as well, but on behalf of us as a council and North Warwickshire residents, thank you. Thank you for what you did.
Councillor Clues first, then Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say congratulations to all the aldermen and women that sitting here tonight. But also, I'd like to say thank you to their families and the family of the late Joan Lee. I don't think people realise the time that, as a councillor, and you have done far more in the 7 years that I've been sitting in this chamber, the amount of time that we give up. We give up our families, our grandchildren, birthday parties, weddings, even our hobbies. So that's who I'd like to say thank you to all, is your spouses, your family, your grandchildren, all those things that we should probably be attending, but we give it up because we believe that we're doing something here for our residents. The same as the 20 odd years that the ex-councils over there gave up for their residents, but what they believed in. Was 3 councillors that was here when I first started, the late Joan Lee and Ray. Sorry. And Lewis.
So you weren't late, Jane.
I was nearly there.
You were on time.
And the thing about it was Ray and Joan kind of led me to try planning. It didn't work. I decided no, the planning board wasn't for me. But Joan, bless her, she took me under her wing when I started, and she became a bit of a mentor for me. And 2 things that will stand with me now, which has probably got me into trouble a couple of times, Joan, is believe in yourself, stand up with what you believe with, and go with what you believe with. So thank you, Joan, and thank you to all the rest of our aldermen and their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Don't stand up. Just
thank you very much indeed. It was quite interesting what Colin had to say, and about various people. I mean, Reg and I played golf for a long time. Well, he played golf, and I used to follow around trying to find the balls I'd lost. But he was very good in trying to teach me how to play golf. But and we had some good times. And although he was the leader of the Labour group, you could always talk to Reg. I mean, half the time he'd destroy what you were trying to tell him, but invariably you could talk to him and he would listen, and he was a great councillor. Ray Sweet, who I'm delighted to see tonight, and he just greeted me when he came in. I spent many years as a vice chair for him on the personnel sub, and such different committees that we used to have in those days. And all the time he was there and very constructive and very knowledgeable. And I remember seeing some productions that he got involved in with regards to the coal miners and all the rest of it. And one thing that he said to me, and I've never ever forgotten, he said, "You didn't fall out with a fellow coal miner." He said, "Because one day you might depend on them to dig you out." And it was, and I don't know if you can remember that, right? But I can remember you clearly telling me that. Joan, a legend in her own lifetime, and a legend definitely in here. Sometimes she would stop on the subject for a whole 2 minutes. But you could, as Colin said, you could always rely on Joan if you wanted a bit of breathing space. Joan would stand up and you'd got the breathing space. And you could switch in and out to Joan, and somewhere in there she would say something that interested you, and of course you would listen to her. Councillor Peggy Hall, I knew very well. She was instrumental in bringing borough care in. She was very, very passionate about it, and for a long time we were the country's leaders in that. You know, the free service we offered, and and the rest of it at that time when, I'm going to say money was easier, but time was easier, and Peggy was a very, very great champion of that. And I remember introducing her to Clay Bar, and I think she drank it, and she probably still drinks it if I know her. And she was excellent. Les Forsyth very much with Brian Moss for Kingsbury, and a great part Les played in all the old times, and they were very good, and they were good times. And there's been some real arguments in this council chamber over the years, but common sense usually prevailed, and we got on, and North Warwickshire became what it is, one of the smaller authorities. But good God, we still punch very, very much above our weight, and long may we continue to do so. So I personally would like to congratulate all the recipients. You've earned it, you've done your time. You've probably got some scars to remember from it, but like me, we've done our time and we've enjoyed it. And I would, as I say, yet again, I would like to thank everybody, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, and congratulate them all and everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morton first. Okay.
Thank you. I've prepared something.
Lovely.
It's for Reg Place. As you probably know, I've known Reg since I joined the council in '87, and he was the leader of the council then when I joined, and he was leader when he left. And it's been on this borough council since the inception of it, from the Addison Rural District Council. Some, as Colin says, some 50 odd years, isn't it? Yeah. 40 odd years, 50 years. During that time, we experienced various ups and downs from varying Labour and Conservative governments within, slapping somebody on the back from the Tory and thanking the Labour people for what they did for him, and vice versa at times. But there's one thing he did: he kept this council on track and on budget. Yeah. The reason why it is Reg had many contacts throughout England and Europe even, because he, as the employers delegate, they went to Europe to represent them. So he learned a lot from there in Brussels. And that's how we got to know about Richard, how much money was going to get it. So, and he used these contacts he got to benefit this council. And without a doubt, it made this small council punch well above its weight at the time to do it. He also, when he spoke, and Les will bear this out, he had a presence. Everybody listened. He was a very astute politician and always held his own in any debate. Yeah. Reg was also a very good friend of mine. And when I visited him and his family in Hartsel, as soon as I walked to the door, I got a grilling from his wife, Chloe. If I got away from her, I had the twins give me a grinning as well. So they got to know everything that I was thinking, so Reg could then implement what he wanted. Lots of times we went, and there's some funny stories I remember I can't reveal now, because like I say, I'll probably put in my memoirs when it goes out. But one of the funniest ones we had was when we visited Brindley Place, where after the NEC elections, the European elections, it was at Brindley Place when we elected the new MEP for North Warwickshire. And she was asked to do an introduction to introduce Reg Place as the leader of North Warwickshire Borough Council. Unfortunately, not knowing Reg, or not having met him, she introduced him as Ralph Pledge, which caused confusion and laughter from everywhere. And to this day, I still call him Ralph. I phone him up and call him Ralph and Ray, and he goes mad. Just lastly, I feel that Ralph, call him Ralph again now, deserves this award the same as all the rest of the people here tonight. And it's for his time and work he has dedicated to our Borough Council. Thank you. Moving on to Peggy. Hastily put together in the Labour room. Peggy has been a Labour councillor representing the ward of Arley for many years. An incredible lady, when very few ladies was in politics, either at local or national level. We worked together on various committees throughout the time, and Peggy was chair of finance when I was vice chair. During this time, I learnt a lot from Peggy, who was very generous with the time and experience, but she never forgot her roots. Peggy then became chair of housing, and her vice chair was my fellow councillor, John Winter. Together, both from the North East, they formed a unique team with Peggy taking the lead, expressly with Borough Care. Peggy and I served similar communities, ex-mining communities, and flagged up many problems which Peggy worked through in a very professional manner. Peggy served Arley diligently over the many years and served it, and always willing to highlight her opinions on matters relating to the council and other political issues. Peggy deserves this award the same as the rest of the aldermen of the borough this time for all the time and work she dedicated to her ward and this borough council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councillor Walton. You like to go ahead?
I need to say I'm doing this as a bit of an imposter because my memories of the councillors go back to when I worked here as an officer. So bear that in mind when I make these comments. I was on Dubai. But I wanted to say something in particular because I have a lot of memories of Joan. Joan was one of the councillors who I found was approachable and I could work with. I felt that she would listen. Not all the councillors I encountered at the time listened. I won't name names, but Joan did. And we had some interesting conversations. She was a senior member of the council, but there are a few words that summed her up to me. She was very challenging to keep up with. If she was a bit like a buzzy bee flying around the place, and people have commented on the way she could move from one topic to another rather quickly, and you had to sort of cling on. Well, I certainly experienced that, but it was never dull and boring. And the other thing I felt about Joan was she acknowledged the importance of science, technology and engineering, and was really interested in the economy of this area and the regeneration of it, given the difficulties that we had to face. So, and to my surprise, I don't know why I was surprised, I discovered she was very interested in green issues and environmental issues. And she was ahead of her time in that regard, I think. But she was very positive about that aspect of the work of councils. She had networks across councils, across Warwickshire and far beyond. And her capability to engage with anybody, well, we've heard about it. She could engage with anybody and everybody. But more than that, she was totally dedicated, I felt. She was devoted to the community of North Warwickshire, and she was always good-humoured and gracious, I think is a word I'd use about Jo. She was a lovely colleague to work with, and I think greatly deserves thanks and the honour she's receiving. Thanks. Thank you, Jo.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. Anyone else wish to say anything? Councillor Phillips.
I'd also like to say congratulations to all students. I'd just like to speak very briefly about Anne Lewis. Anne would have seen becoming an older woman as a great honour. It's a shame that she is not with us, standing by our side, receiving this award. She was respected by all members of the council, both past and present. She touched the lives of many in her community, and she's left a significant hole. Receiving this award will mark Anne in the history of the council, and stands as a memorial to Anne as a truly remarkable individual and a great woman who will truly be forgotten. Your children will never be forgotten.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phillips. So, Councillor Farrer.
I'm reading this on behalf of Jodie Gosling, who's unable to be here this evening. It's from Racing. Jodie writes, I'm sure we're going to hear the phrase true gentleman on a number of occasions this evening. But for Ray, I'm not 100% sure that's the phrase I would use. Not me. When he first joined the Labour group 6 years ago, Ray was one of the first to welcome me, a warm, genuine smile and outstretched hand. His enthusiasm for the Labour group, his residents and this council was contagious. His kindness and compassion undoubtedly shone through his work, and one of those incredible people who always had time for you. He was eminently calm, composed, polite and respectful, but there was something else, a quirk in his smile, a twinkle in his eye. There was also mischief, a sense of humour, a chuckle no less, which could cut through tension, lighten moods and effortlessly smooth out difficult conversations. He was an immensely valued group member and friend. He left a large hole in our group when he retired, and we miss him still. Being able to see Ray in council, especially planning, was eye-opening. I don't think I ever witnessed him say a harsh word or raise his voice, but when he spoke, people listened. He commanded respect with quiet dignity and a wealth of knowledge acquired over the years. I don't recall a debate where he didn't at least gain ground towards his side of the table, if not flip the table completely. There is real strength, real leadership to being able to represent yourself so well, especially in adversity, under pressure, without losing composure. Ray, you achieved so much and you made it look easy. You were and still are an inspiration. Thank you for welcoming me, Jodie, into our Labour group and the council, and thank you for everything you've achieved over the many years of dedicated service for the residents of North Warwickshire.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Councillor Farrer. Would anyone else like to say anything? Councillor Phillips.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd also like to congratulate everyone who's received the award. Unfortunately, the keeper of the archives and the tall stories is sitting behind me, as Ray. We could have gone on for hours about the Reg and some of the antics they all got up to, but I'm afraid I'll have to be silent, I suppose, on that. I was just going to talk a little bit about Les. Les is a friend of mine. He's a leading member of our group. He served the people of Kingsbury for 25 years. During that time on the council, he served as mayor from 1986 to 1987. He was also he was also a long-serving chair of the Leisure Services Committee, and along with his principal officer, Alan, done a great deal of good for the borough. I served on the Leisure Services Committee with Les and others, and I learned a great deal from Les. I also served on the Policy Committee for the Leisure Services Committee. We met regularly after each meeting at the Atom Beaver across the road. When Les retired, his steady hand and wise counsel was missed in our group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phillips. Councillor Simpson. Simmons, even.
I was going to say, I know he normally sits here.
Sorry, Simmons. Correct.
I mean, clearly, all the people we're here to celebrate tonight leave a legacy and within this council, and it is absolutely fantastic that we've been able to do this, even though it's a little bit overdue because of the pandemic. I just want to say a couple of things just about Joan. The first time I ever met Joan, I wasn't involved in politics or anything like it. I was at work at Sainsbury's in Hams Hall, and we had a meeting with people from the local council about some problems we were having there on the industrial estate. And I remember being quite inspired by her. And she was formidable, determined, and she didn't take any of the crap that anyone was trying to give her on that day. Excuse my language in the chamber, Mr. Mayor. And I'd just like to say thank you to her, because actually when up until that point and up until meeting that group of people, I'd never thought about doing anything like this. So sadly for everyone else, the legacy
Your
of one of
fault,
the but I'd never thought about doing anything like this, never before. And when I came here, a most welcoming group of people. I mean, Ray Sweet as well, and Anne Lewis, you know, but particularly Joan and Anne, who were women who'd been in council and elected representative for many, many years. I think Anne was one of the longest serving councillors in the country, you know, as a female councillor. So I think there's huge amounts celebrated there. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you very much, Councillor Simmons. Right. Anybody else before we move on? Okay then. Right.
Councillor Wright.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to sum up, I just wanted to say, as faces change on the council and political persuasions change, etc. I think all the recipients have shown us, the newer members, your dedication and commitment to this council and the communities that you've represented is a true example. And if we, as the existing members, the serving members, can do half of what you've achieved, then we will be doing well. So it's congratulations and thank you very much. And we will try and keep your legacy in the commitment and dedication to North Warwickshire going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wright. Okay then.
Just
Councillor Mawson.
just a point to say that in the committee room there, I will be relating tales about Les and Ray if anyone wants to listen.
That's fine. Obviously, it's. I was going to say it's not like a normal borough council meeting. If anyone wants to say something, just say it. All right. Don't you have to. Go on. But Councillor Hayfield.
Mr. Mayor, I just wonder whether any of the recipients wanted to correct any of the misstatements that may have been made during the course.
I'm sure there'll be ample opportunity when they come and collect their award. Okay, then I'm going to move to item number 7 now, and I now put the motion to the council. Item 8, the motion having been carried.
Which is it, but for the votes.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, right, okay. I thought you do the motions. Right,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine. Yes, it's been proposed and seconded.
Okay, so it's been proposed and seconded. So I'm going to put the motion to council. All those in favour? And agreed. Okay. So we'll move to obviously now item the motion having been carried. I see now. Yeah, I would like to ask Les Forsyth to come forward to make the declaration of the honorary alderman.
My legs aren't as good as when I was here.
Come on, crocodile.
You wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Well, I come down to see.
Right.
What was that? So, do you want to read?
I will indeed. I, Les Forsyth, hereby accept the title of honorary alderman for the borough of North Warwickshire, having been so appointed by North Warwickshire Council in recognition of the eminent service rendered to the borough of North Warwickshire. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Pass you the certificate.
That's good.
Okay, and he's going to come round and sign the book for you.
There's an A3 copy of the video, isn't it? Be available on eBay tomorrow.
That's a big badge, Les. They're going to have to have some way in that.
And you're going to get that in your chest,
Can I just say a quick thank you?
You certainly can.
Mr. Mayor, members of council and everyone else,
borough officers.
I feel very humble for this. I mean, all I did was spend 25 years sitting around here talking and representing the people that we came here for. And can I just say a very quick word? One of the people that got me here, in fairness, was Anne Lewis. Susan, your mother, she got me into all this sort of trouble, but I thank her for it because we had some very nice moments. And I think as a council at the time, although we had our political differences, generally we worked together. And I think that's all that. Anyway, thanks very much for this. I do feel quite humble. And
Let's get a photo.
oh, okay, thank you. I feel like, you know, I've had about 2 years, not because of
Finish on your chest.
nothing to do with what's happening in East Dorset. I'm a West Brom supporter.
If you want to hold your certificate up.
Oh, yes, it is.
There we go.
I'm not cheese straight.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, now I'd like to ask Ray Sweet if he would like to come forward and make the declaration for Honorary Alderman. Ray, if you want to come round here, it'd probably be easier then. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor,
Certainly.
and all our colleagues and friends. Thank you. I, Raymond Sweet, hereby accept the title of Honorary Alderman from Borough of North Warwickshire, having been so appointed by North Warwickshire Borough Council in the recognition of the eminent and service rendered to the Borough of North Warwickshire. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. And obviously, as you can see, there's your certificate.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Recognise you to sign the book. Yes, thank you. I'd say a few words. I'm deeply honoured to receive this award for services to North Warwickshire, but I'm so proud to have that title awarded to me. North Warwickshire worked here for many years. I know most of you, and I have to say most of the time we work together, which is one of the strengths of North Warwickshire Borough Council. I worked with David, Colin for many, many years, and Ray there, and Aidan, Peter, Joan, worked with Les, Anne Lewis, who a dear friend of ours, but she'll never be forgotten. We had some difficult times in North Warwickshire, especially through the 80s, and we pulled together and battled through. And with Les Smith, I worked tirelessly with him, I think for about 20 years on personnel.
It was really nice.
He was vice chair, but we worked as a team for the benefit of all the staff and the community. Everything we tried to do, we tried to benefit for the people who put us here, to make their lives a little better where we possibly could. And also, we used to have some ding-dongs in this chamber, real ding-dongs across. But when we went up those steps, we were still friends. That was another strength. That is important. You leave it in here when you had kicked each of the machines all around the chamber. So, yeah, I can't thank you enough for what you given me. I'm so proud to receive it. Thank you.
Which went,
Maybe Becky.
Mason. Next, I would like to ask Joan Lee to come up, please.
I'm coming on the high road. Thanks very much. Yes, I, Joan Lee, hereby accept the title of Honorary Alderman for the Borough of North Warwickshire, having been so appointed by the North Warwickshire Borough Council in recognition of the eminent service rendered to the Borough of North Warwickshire.
Very long message there.
Sign them up.
Shortest speech yet.
Right now, well, I don't want to sign him. It's not a check, is it?
I'm afraid not. Check it afterwards.
That's what worries me. I thought we were running out of ink.
No, it's one of those ones that just takes a bit of time to
Thank
catch
you.
up.
Mine
Thank
is not shown. I can see that.
you. I would like to thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
And I'm deeply honoured. I'm still in shock about getting that letter from North Warwickshire. I thought, gosh, do I owe them money? Well, I've paid for, you know. And then I had to sit and think about it for a while. But it is so nice to feel that the connection has been kept going, because it has been said right across this chamber, we've had so many issues to deal with in North Warwickshire. I think from 1974 was that, Les?
Yes.
When the stuff changed, and so many very, very big issues. One thing that I'm very much aware of about North Warwickshire, particularly when sometimes I've been driving around the borough with none other than Jeff Brown, still around here, and I've said, gosh, there in Bentley, you look down, what a beautiful landscape. What a wonderful place. And you know where I think we still have that jewel, that treasure here in North Warwickshire. And that really is the miners. Because there was so much work done, this is only a theory. Now, I hope these very clever people I'm not going to strip me off too much for it, but my theory is that where in other places we had tool shops and I don't know, all kinds of stuff going on, the miners in North Warwickshire who worked jolly hard, not an easy job, Ray Sweet will know that, going underground. That's where the work was done for many, many years. And the result was we still today, touch wood, have a very beautiful county. A very beautiful borough. We do have a good county. And I think that is a tribute to the very, very many miners who did hard, dirty and very difficult jobs in the past. And was saying, talking about my sort of interest and what have you in technology and science and whatever. The future's interesting, isn't it? We still have resources and maybe a few more interesting discussions are going to have to be held outside this chamber. However, I do hope those people, whoever they are, work as hard as the average councillor, because, you know, we don't go into, I don't think we have to go into recess, did we? No, we're here most of the time. So I'm always aware of this when, you know, in Westminster, they're having a well-deserved break. So again, you know, as I say, all in this room, I'm sure that's something we can agree on, which takes a bit of doing. How did I get here from there?
I never know. I think it just happened that I lived abroad a few years. We came home to England. I don't know. I suppose in the 80s, end of the 70s, and for some reason or other, we're invited to a coffee evening, conservative coffee evening, a local one. And we said, oh, well, we'd better go along. We never really go to these things. So that happened. I was asked to do something. Okay. Then I was asked if I'd do something else. Well, okay, fitted in with life. And then the bombshell came. They needed a counsellor. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've no idea what that's about. Never been on my agenda. In fact, I'd hardly ever heard of Margaret Thatcher, would you believe? Because, I've been out of everything. So the next thing I know was I had to turn up here. Nobody told me about Les, and nobody even at work had told me about Reg Place, who was the leader of the council. That was very, very solemn, because every time I seemed to approach him, he would have David Monks or Gerald Fillery or David Atkins, which he's still around. And he would sometimes look a bit cross. And I think, oh dear. So, yeah, you sort of get avoidance strategies and things like that. So then I got to think, oh, what do I do? What am I supposed to do as a counsellor? And I mentioned environment because that was something I was very, very keen on right from the start. Maybe going back to some information Colin Hayfield has come up about climbing. I mean, climbing was something I just kind of fell into at college. They were saying, oh, blah, blah, have a mountaineering club, who wants to go? I said, oh, yeah, I know North Wales. So you do it. But of course, you have to be a purist. You did in those days, no knocking Pete on, sort of did the original routes as they were supposed to do. And the thing I've always carried from those days is be careful who you climb with. You've got to know who you're climbing with. Make sure you're in the right line. And the other thing is, because a lot of us were in the same situation at the time, having to go through some trauma or other in life, and we'd be up there sort of Cloggy or somewhere, doing a route. And of course, when you get to a traverse, it's a little bit different because if there's just two of you, there's always a pendulum thing and whatever. But the one thing all of us at times shared, and we used to say in difficult times, when you're climbing, that's what you've got to really, that's the important thing because it matters. What you do really matters. So sometimes in the worst nightmares that I've encountered and arguments and what have you. And I thought, yeah, I could be up there again thinking, oh God, how am I going to get across there? So yeah, these things have a way of coming around. But I think the very good thing about North Warwickshire is that we can agree, we disagree at times, but there is that keeping together. And particularly in the present environment where boundaries change so much. So it's been a long journey, but a very good one. And it is so nice to feel that I have still got some connection. Thank you all very, very much for your kind words.
Okay, now I'll tell you Okay, now with regard to former councillor Anne Lewis as a member, aware, Anne sadly died earlier this year. I'm pleased to say that Anne's daughter, Susan, is here with us and able to join us this evening. I invite her to come forward to receive the scroll on behalf of her family. Obviously, there's no declaration for you. You just received the scroll, and thank you very much for all the work your mother did.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. With respect to the other two recipients, Reg Place and Peggy Hall, neither of them could be with us this evening. I'm told, however, that Peggy and the family will be watching online, so good wishes to them and to Reg Place. Their scrolls will be sent to them, but perhaps we could congratulate them now in the usual way. Well, that concludes the business of the evening, but I can invite the honorary aldermen, councillors and guests in the Civic Suite. Well, it's not in the Civic Suite, is it? It's in the committee room, where an opportunity will be given to extend congratulations to the new honorary alderman and to partake in refreshments. Food, tea, coffee, soft drinks will be laid out.